The 4 Zodiac signs, destined to win big in April 2026. April 2026 will divide the Zodiac signs into 2 groups. Some will go through it calmly. Others will suddenly find themselves facing an opportunity that could change their financial trajectory for years to come. Such moments do not look spectacular. They appear as a precise combination of events. And this time, we are talking about only 4 signs. In this video, we will analyze who is on this list and why April triggers this scenario. If you want to understand such signals before others, subscribe to the channel. Let's start with the first sign. The first sign we will discuss is Gemini. In April 2026, their financial trajectory will change dramatically, without warning, without a slow start. Representatives of this sign have long been working at the limit of their capabilities, several directions at once, projects, negotiations, new connections. They don't always look like people who are moving towards a big result. But it is this chaotic activity in April that leads to a major breakthrough. First, information appears. A short message, an offer, an invitation to collaborate. What seemed insignificant in March suddenly becomes the key. Gemini react quickly, without long deliberation. They enter the process and immediately change the rules of the game. April begins with a decision that many around them will not understand. A rejection of the old contract, a change of partner, a transition to a new financial model. This step seems drastic, but it is precisely this step that opens up access to significantly greater resources. Around the middle of the month, Gemini receive confirmation. The first large payment arrives. The amount significantly exceeds expectations. This is not accidental income. It is the result of long negotiations, intellectual work, and the right moment. During this period, the financial mindset of representatives of this sign changes dramatically. They stop working according to the old scheme of more time, more money. Instead, a new principle emerges: scale, system, and speed of turnover. Gemini begin to act more decisively. They cut off unnecessary contacts. They close old obligations. They abandon projects that take energy but do not produce results. Other deals appear in their place. Shorter, more precise, more profitable. April brings another important event. A person from the past returns to their financial space. A former partner, a client, or an acquaintance with whom they have not been in contact for a long time. This meeting launches a new money scheme. There are no unnecessary words in it, only clear conditions and quick decisions. Money begins to move faster. Several deals are signed almost simultaneously. Gemini work in a mode of constant concentration, day after day, without pause. At this stage, their position in the market changes. Those who previously perceived them as intermediaries or executors now see them as the center of the process, the people who control the flows. In the third part of April, the twins make another strategic decision. They launch a new source of income. It could be their own product, an information platform, or an investment in a technology project. There is risk, but the calculation is accurate. A few days after this decision, a second wave of money arrives. It is bigger, faster, and unexpected even for them. What is important is that the twins do not spend this resource chaotically. They immediately transfer part of the funds into long-term assets. Real estate, business, team scaling. April changes them. They become more cold-hearted in financial matters and more precise in negotiations. They begin to think like people who work with large numbers. By the end of the month, Gemini are no longer looking for opportunities. Opportunities come to them. The phone rings more often, offers become bigger, and at this moment it becomes clear what started as a single successful contract turns into systematic financial growth. In April 2026, Gemini enter a period where big money is no longer a rarity. It becomes the new norm. Capricorn. Next, it is worth mentioning the sign that is used to working where others give up earlier. We are talking about Capricorns. Representatives of this sign rarely look impressive. They do not create a fuss around themselves, but when it comes to big decisions, they are the ones who find themselves at the center of the process. In April 2026, it all starts with a simple meeting, an ordinary desk, a few people, a report on the screen. The numbers seem correct, but Capricorn disagrees. He asks to open the previous version of the document. The difference in the table is only 3%. I noticed a pattern a long time ago. Capricorns always see that 3%. He doesn't raise his voice. He just asks a question. Why was the cost coefficient changed in the new version? The answer sounds uncertain. Someone mentions a technical error. Someone rushes to close the topic. But it's too late. The calculation is redone. The difference turns into a different amount. On paper, it looks modest. However, in the real scale of the project, it amounts to hundreds of thousands. It seems to me that this is where the true character of this sign manifests itself. Attention to detail that keeps the system from falling apart. After this moment, Capricorn actually takes control of the process, informally. Without loud statements, he simply begins to control the key points. He reviews the cost structure. He finds a few more minor imbalances. One clause in the contract is changed. The payment term is reduced by 10 days. I am convinced that it is precisely these minor adjustments that produce big results. Then events begin to unfold more quickly. Partners feel that they are dealing with a person who will not miss a single inaccuracy. Negotiations become shorter. Conditions become tougher. One day, a letter arrives from a new investor. He has carefully studied the project's financial model and wants to get involved. The offer is substantial. Capricorn does not react emotionally. He asks for time to review it. He looks at the financing structure and analyzes the risks. He changes the payment order in several places. I have no doubt that their main trait, cold calculation, is at work here. The negotiations last several days. The investor tries to speed up the process, but Capricorn does not move faster than the numbers allow. As a result, a new agreement emerges, a different share structure, different guarantees, and most importantly, greater control over resources. The project receives additional funding, work accelerates, the team expands, decisions are made quickly. Capricorn remains the one who holds the structure together. I see clear logic in this. When the system becomes more complex, you need someone who can keep it from falling into chaos. In the second half of April, another event occurs. One of the competitors tries to seize part of the market. The offer is aggressive. The prices are lower. Many people start to get nervous. Capricorn makes another move. He revises the contract with a key partner. He adds a clause about long-term supply. It's a small legal detail, but it blocks the competitor's attempt. In my opinion, this is strategy in its purest form. By the end of the month, it becomes clear. Capricorn's position in the project has changed. Now he is not just a participant. He is the center of decision-making. Money begins to move along a different trajectory, more stable, more predictable, and importantly, this result seems logical. It grew out of dozens of small decisions that others did not even notice. Libra. When talking about those who can maintain balance even in difficult negotiations, one sign is always mentioned. We are talking about Libras. People born under this sign rarely make sudden moves. They work differently. They listen for a long time. They look closely at the numbers. They wait for the moment when someone else's mistake will open the door. In April 2026, this is exactly what will happen. One situation will begin almost imperceptibly. A contract, several pages of text, standard terms and conditions. At first glance, it seems like a normal agreement. But the Libra representative will pause at one point. The wording is unclear. The amount is written ambiguously. The numbers don't add up. I noticed one thing a long time ago. Libras rarely overlook such details. He returns the document. He asks a question. He does not raise his voice. He simply asks for clarification. And at that very moment, the balance of power begins to shift. The partners are nervous. The lawyers review the text. Someone tries to quickly close the issue, but it's too late. The representative of this sign has found a weak spot. It is obvious to me that their natural strategy is at work here. First silence, then a precise strike. Several days of negotiations. No scandals, no demonstrative pressure, only precise arguments and cold calculation. As a result, the terms change. The contract amount increases. Libra's share in the project becomes significantly larger, but the real effect becomes apparent a little later. This contract opens up a new circle of contacts. People who previously perceived Libra as intermediaries begin to see something else. A strategist, a person capable of maintaining complex structures. I have no doubt that it is moments like these that change the financial trajectory. In the second half of April, one of the partners takes an unexpected step. He offers participation in a larger project. The scale is different, the budgets are different, the risks are also greater. Libra does not respond immediately. They take a pause, they look at the cost structure, they check the numbers, they compare options. I see this as the key to their style. They are not chasing quick money, they need a system. After a short pause, they agree. But they change the terms of entry. They add a new clause to the contract, a small detail, one line in the text, and it is this line that will later bring the main benefit. The project begins to unfold quickly. Financial flows increase. Partners work intensively. Some make mistakes. Some cannot keep up. Libras do not rush. They remain in their position. Calm, control, precise decisions. I am convinced that the strength of this sign lies precisely in such cold stability. At the end of the month, something happens that no one planned for. One of the big investors pulls out of the project. A share becomes available. The market reacts instantly. The Libra representative acts faster than the others. The offer comes in that same day. Short, clear, no unnecessary words. A few days later, the deal is closed. The stake is transferred to him, and then it becomes clear that all the previous work, careful reading of contracts, long negotiations, cold pauses, was not just caution, it was a strategy. In my opinion, such decisions do not arise by chance. They are the result of long internal discipline. By the end of April, the financial situation of Libra representatives changes significantly. Not only does their income grow, but their status also changes. Now people come to them not with requests but with offers, and these offers already embody respect for a person who knows how to maintain balance where others lose it. Cancer. Now a few words about a sign that rarely shows its intentions openly. Cancer representatives work quietly, without unnecessary statements. They observe the process for a long time before intervening, which is why their decisions often seem unexpected to those around them. In April 2026, one work situation begins to change precisely because of this quiet position. It concerns a financial report in a large company. Several people check the document. The numbers add up, the graphs are accurate, management is ready to sign. But the Cancer representative asks for one more day. I noticed long ago that when Cancer asks for time to check something, it means that he has sensed something illogical. He returns to the expense table. He opens the archive files. He looks at old contracts, and he finds one strange thing. The price of supply for one item has increased by 7%, without explanation, without additional agreement. At first, it seems like a trifle, but Cancer does not close the document. He begins to check the entire supply chain. A few hours later, the picture changes. It turns out that the supplier has quietly raised prices in 2 other contracts. The total amount is significant. It is obvious to me that in such moments, the true attentiveness of this sign is revealed. Cancer does not make loud statements. He collects facts. He prepares a short analytical note. A few figures, 2 graphs, 1 conclusion. The document lands on the management's desk. The reaction is quick. The contract is reviewed. The supplier is called in for negotiations. The terms are changed. The company returns a significant portion of the overpayment. But the story does not end there. After this situation, management begins to look at the Cancer representative differently, not as a person who simply keeps records, but as someone who sees risks before others. I am convinced that such moments radically change a person's role in the system. A few weeks later, Raka is offered a new task to review the financial model of another project. It has a larger budget and a more complex structure. He agrees, he works several evenings, he analyzes costs, deadlines, and guarantees, and he finds another detail. There's a phrase in the contract that allows the profit percentage to be changed after the project is launched. A minor point, almost invisible. Rocca proposes to change the wording. I see in this an accurate intuition, backed up by calculation. After the correction, the deal becomes more profitable for the company. The difference in profit is significant. Management quickly understands this. As a result, RAC's representative gets a new position in the project. More responsibility, more control over financial flows. But the most interesting thing happens a little later. One of the partners decides to sell their share in the business. The information appears unofficially. Most people find out about it too late. Cancer reacts earlier. They already know the financial structure. They know the real value of the asset, and they make an offer. The deal goes quietly, without publicity. In my opinion, this is what strong decisions look like, without noise, without ostentatious gestures. By the end of April, the representative of this sign finds himself in a different position. He is no longer just part of the team. He is a co-owner of the process. And most importantly, this result does not seem accidental. It grew out of attention to details that others simply did not notice.